into specified substance here, Tyler, too? Because that this where it's important for structures because there's so many extracts, there's so many.
Absolutely. Actually, this segues fairly well because the next one we're doing was actually to go to mixtures followed by special.
Okay, so you're not ran off.
But the very first question that we wanted to talk about, because it is a tricky question, is when are mixtures applicable? Or are they not? And I think that distinction is not always clear cut for anybody, and it's really usually the decision is whether or not something is a mixture or something is a specified substance group 1. And I hope, Larry, if you wanted to mention some explanation for, but maybe I'll give you just a little background on what that is. So a mixture really is just a collection of substances. So it really is a question of substances with a little more extra information. But that's sort of for anything you can't define the other substance classes, you could use as a mixture. A specified substance also can have multiple substances as defining characteristics, little extra information. But there are certain times when you would use a specified substance group 1 and certain times when you would use a mixture. And Larry, maybe you could speak of the distinction.
Yeah, basically our distinction we made in the standard is that a lot of things are always mixed together and they're mixtures and they end up being ingredients, but it would be hard to carry all kinds of a proliferation of substance IDs. So where we draw the line is that something either has to be sort of isolated together and be related in chemical structure, and a lot of times like the gentamicins, they're isolated from a culture, they're structurally related, and so those would be a mixture of the different components or the result of the same synthetic process. I mean, sometimes you end up with a racemic, and you can handle as a mixture or as a single substance, or this trans isomerism. When you do synthesis, you'll end up with both. So they are criteria for a mixture. We typically, because a lot of these naturally derived products, the ratios vary quite a bit. We typically don't capture ratios at the substance level. So gentamicin, like for example, I think in the pharmacopoeia it's 5 substances. In USP pharmacopoeia it's 4. So what we would do is go, again, they're all isolated similar. It's just that the Europeans have added one more, and so that would be the mixture of gentamicins. We wouldn't create a separate mixture for the USP thing, but when we did the specifications, then when we do the specified substance, that's when we go into actual amounts and specifications, and even for a lot of the medicinal materials where there's signature substances or markers or other types of markers, and then there's levels to find out if the material is suitable for use in these extracts and things like that.
The key in the mixture is that the amounts are not defined, whereas specified substance amount would be
defined and things. And we always get questions: why didn't we create a mixture or a substance for simethicone? Well, because it really is the 2 different things. It's sand or silicon dioxide, with dimethicone, and again, you can vary those ratios, and when you want to find a drug precisely, and then there's a lot of the aluminum lakes and things like that where you can vary the amount of dye that you put on aluminum. So they're not typically isolated together.
So to summarize, if I take 2 random substances that I have in bottles and I put them together, that would not be a substance.
That would be a substance unless a chemical reaction occurred and you have a third substance.
But if I find some tree or something somewhere and I extract something out,
it's only related things that we wouldn't nothing is pure in the world, And,
well, we're mostly registering
Another good example is protein that has isoforms. As a mixture with each isoform.
Right, if you've isolated them.
Yeah.
Like monoclonal antibodies, most of them, if we were going to capture them correctly, would mixture of three proteins, at least at the substance level, because there's always some terminal lysine heterogeneity on them. But usually they have any functional significance, so we want to know. But we have an easy system to enter proteins. We may actually capture correctly. Right now, it's so painful to put in medical system that we don't do that.
So really quickly through how you do a mixture. This is fairly simple. You're a mixture. Some random name. Air. This one may or may not work. Recorded. Like that. I'm really confused what the structure of air is.
Well, they have isolated together, Tyler.
Yeah.
So,
Interestingly, whatever area is, NCATS and PubChem disagree about it.
the components typically have to be greater than 1%. So if error is actually a decent example. This one was not entered into the system. And we have it in ours.
I don't believe this one is reported. But an example would actually be, I think error is actually a legitimate example of something that could be substance. Isolated together, we have nitrogen and oxygen and a few trace gases, and from one environment.
And where altitude is.
The ratios will change, but ratios of components of mixture don't define the mixture. They just need to be there in present or absent.
Even when we're doing a mixture, we limit it to components that are 1% or more.
Yeah.
Just to avoid creating enormous complex mixtures. Now, every one of those where we probably should have done more than that because we know the minor components there, but right now it's just defines the system as nitrogen and oxygen.
Who's increasing? Water.
So then two records, I've added a nitrogen and an oxygen record. I've just selected them. I can see whether they have to be present, or they may be present, or they must be present. There's actually another area there that we've been to be able to specify whether this is each one is they may be present and one of, or they may be present and there's all of, or there's any of. Those are really a distinction that's sort of. That's right.
But
That's right. So this is a fairly simple example. Notice that we don't put in the amounts of the relative units. We're just putting in the substances themselves. Then similarly, we can put in some more detailed information